one thing that gets lost when people talk about rap, even when we reflect on it like we're doing now, is the humor and the cleverness that a lot of it had. Because sadly, I think a lot of people don't even look at it as art, even still today. But to me, even as a kid, as I'm learning, the artist even before you, I was listening and studying and just like, yo, this is hilarious, or this is so clever, or this is
Mhm.
so imaginative. Like for you, did you understand and appreciate that early on, like I did, or was that something that came a little later?
No, that's exactly what I appreciated, the cleverness, yeah, and, it was just it was cool. It's like, wow. It was, like, cooler than poetry, and poetry was cool, but it was just cooler than poetry.
Okay. Gotcha. And then moving on, since with Make It Funky and Top Billin, you got DaddyO on working with you guys on production. How and why did you guys connect and end up working so well together, do you think?
So, it's funny because recently he told me a story which I had no idea. So back in the days, they used to play "I Like Cherries" at Latin Quarters, but it was more. I don't know. In my opinion, it seemed like it was more like a joke, but they would play it consistently. And Daddy-O told me that Delight uh, told him about "I Like Cherries," and so one day, and meanwhile, of course, I'm a big Sonics fan, and we met them at the quarters one day, and he was like, and we started talking, and he was like, yeah, if you want to do something, we could do something together, which of course I was honored. I had no idea that he had heard I Like Cherries or whatever. So he agreed and we started working. He was a mentor for me. And one of the most important things, in my opinion, one of the most important things that I learned from Daddy-O is he always inspired me to be myself and not worry about what other people were thinking. And so he'd be like, "Yeah," and I think that "I Like Cherries" was an example of that, which is why he was drawn to it because it was so different. So he kinda just was like, "Yo, do it, do that." And, "Oh, that's dope. Don't worry about that. Do it, do it." So he kinda pushed me to be myself and to be unique.
Hmm. Okay. And he also told me with Top Billin that that was actually a mistake, the way that the beat was made. So what do you remember of hearing that and how?
Now, I hear that story all the time, and that's not true, but, it's a good legend, and, I get asked this question so much, but that's not a true story.
Well,
What
break it down.
happened what happened was the, I was working on a remix for a Light song. She had a song, the B-side of her first single, which was, it was called "Take It Light." And I was trying to do a remix to it, and that was the beat that I came up with. I was in the basement, and the funny thing is I was sick. I had a bronchitis, and I was sitting down there, and I was like, "Oh, I like this beat or whatever." So I wrote the rhyme and put the rhyme down right there. The whole process for that song took maybe half hour, 45 minutes, and I just did it and really didn't think nothing of it either. But then the next time I saw Daddy-O, I played it for him, and he was like, "Yo," he was like, "This is the one right here. This is it." So, and then we went to mix it, and he, contributed production wise like that. And one of the main things that he did, which was really important in my opinion, was the pullouts, like to stop scheming and look at. Because what happened is the normally, drum beats are like 8 counts or 16 counts, but that's like a 6 count beat. So as it flips, it kinda changes where it lands, and if you were here, if I would play you the song without the pullouts, right at those parts, it would sound like it was off beat because it wasn't that, typical count. So whenever he pulled it out right there, you wouldn't hear that. and then when you drop back in, it would sound like it was on. So I think that that was really important for the production of that song.
Hmm. And
Yeah,
given
but it wasn't a mistake. And the funny, let me just add something to that. And this only people that understand uh SB12s would, because he said that DaddyO said that it was done on it, that he had a some patterns on the SB12 and I loaded in my sounds, and when I hit play that his um his patterns triggered my sounds, and that's what came up. Okay, so first of all, I didn't even have a SB12, and I didn't do it with the SB12. I did it with a, a Boss foot pedal sampler and a Roland 707. So we'll start there. Number two, the original SB12s, you couldn't load sounds separately from the um the sequences. The whole disc would load at once. Now, once the SB 1200 came out, then you could do stuff like that. But that didn't come out till years later. So that was just a good you know, what do you call a legend? That's a good legend, and it's all good. It's something to talk about. I guess it kind of shows you the power of that song, right? When you get all of these legends and stuff. So so that's it.
so with the top billing though, since you had been doing production and working with Light as well, what made you want to work with other producers or open to the idea or not just work with Giz? Like, why was that something you were
You mean
comfortable?
like with Daddy-O?
Yeah.
Well, Daddy-O was on, right? He's already making records and stuff. And like I said, he really pushed me to be myself. So it was more of a supportive role with any of the producers, it's just inspiration. So and for me, it was never like like an ego thing. It's just we're being creative and we're trying to come up with the most unique song, and whatever anybody had to contribute to the process, it was all good.
Okay. And then what with Light, I've heard 4,000 different things. So what is your guys' actual relationship? I've never been able to
Okay.
understand what it
Okay.
really is.
So we 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 look we always called it first party music family, and we considered all of the artists brothers and sisters. So the original story is that like is our sister, and we ran with that for a long time, but she's not. The You mentioned Cool C, uh aka K Swift. He actually, we were recording, and he was like, yo, I got this girl, you know, she's dope, whatever. I want to bring her over. So he brought her over. And the first day she came over, we recorded I Cram to Understand You. And then we moved on from there. So she was just, and she is like a sister to me. I mean, figure I've known her 40 years. So, we're like family, but we're not.
Okay. And then uh given that it was a much different era, why was that something you guys didn't clarify early on or didn't like did it just not matter to you or it was actually
No, well, we were
beneficial?
we were saying it. It was us that was pushing it.
No,
It
I know,
wasn't
but why didn't you ever just be like, no, we're actually not. We just say that, like you just explained. Why didn't you just
it's a
after the
legend. It's another legend, right? Something else. This is why you're asking the question, right?
right?
Because yeah, I've had people say, "Oh, she's your cousin, she's your sister, you're her godfather," like all kinds of stuff. So it's just another story.
Okay. And then with Light in particular, who I think is, forget male, female, one of the best rappers ever. What early on, even before you started recording, what did you notice or see about her that was so distinctive or made you be like, yeah, I want to work with her for real?
The thing that attracted me to Light the most was her spunk. She's so spunky, and when she would say, "It's not your business, so shut the fuck up," like you could feel it. Like it was it wasn't her just cursing for the sake of cursing, or whatever, she's spunky, and that's what I like. So for me, just in general, excuse me, in music, I feel like music is magical and it's something that has a magic to it. And when you listen to music, or for me, I have to feel something. If I feel something, then to me it's good. Like if it can make you cry, it can make you happy, whatever. It could just make you smile. And that's so I think that music conjures emotion, and that's what light spunk does for me. It's like emotion. So it makes me just because she's so spunky, it made me feel it. So that's the main thing that I always loved about Light was her spunkiness.